Let's do this. Yo, what's good, gamers? What's good? My name is Dr. Ryan Terrell, Psych Sensei, and welcome to the stream, or welcome back to the stream. I really hope that the music is all right. I definitely tried to fix this audio and the sounds, but we're gonna see how it works. So if it sounds great, let me know. If it doesn't, bro, my bad. I was trying to get the clickiness out of this keyboard if I do decide to play some League or whatever. So it's there. Also, today's been kind of a weird day. I wasn't able to like use the internet for the first half, and so it was kind of not great, very unproductive. I did make some videos though. I was productive there. I was pretty proud of myself. Did make some new content. Some quick little TikToks that I have to put I have to edit and then put the captions onto. But I guess that was the most productive part of my day. I also had to take my dog to the vet. Holy shit, that was expensive. And then I'm so sad because his teeth are jacked up, and so that's gonna be expensive. But you know what? I'd rather my son have good teeth, and you know, if they extract some and then we can brush it. But dang, I feel bad for the little guy. But he's eating now because we couldn't feed him all day because he had to take his blood test and stuff. So he's happily eating. He's chilling now, and everyone's here. Just like I hope you are chilling too. If you want to learn more about me and what I do as an esports psychologist, please visit my website, psychsensei.com. There you can find all the drops. Or if you want to visit my TikToks, my YouTube, my Facebook, my LinkedIn, my Instagram, all there on my website, psychsensei.com. And while you were there, why don't you fill out a free consultation form, and you know, I can sit down and see what's kind of going on and figure out your win condition and start working towards it today. Oh, hold on, please. Okay, we are back. When mom, wife, dad, family calls, you need to pick up. That is what happened. So we're all good. But I hope everyone's doing all right. Yep, what's up, baby? Long time no see. I hope you've been all right. Hope you've been all right. Hope you're staying warm. Yeah, all right. Well, without any further ado, today we're gonna continue kind of what we were started reading last week. And last week we were reading about the triggers of tilt. We also got to talk about what tilted, or how they described tilt. And again, tilt was the description. The description of tilt was the negative emotions, anger, frustration, irritation, all those things. But again, the thing that really was super interesting, at least in my humble opinion, was where the tilt was directed. And like the study found, it was mostly directed at the team, then the self, then the team, then others. I mean, and then for me personally, I'm gonna go with like divide this by 2, and I'll split this between other team and my team. So this could also be up to like this is not official. I think it's about like 47%, and maybe this one would be like, where's the other one? This one maybe like boosted up to like 13%. Yo, homie, definitely staying warm for now. We prep for grad responses. Yeah. Thanks again for your convo with me before. Hey, man, no worries. Waiting for replies back from a range of programs. PsyD, Research Masters, a performance psych program. Already accepted that one. Nice. Well, honestly, man, if I was going to push you in one direction or another, I would say Clin Psych. Personally, I like the PsyD. And the reason I'm suggesting PsyD is because it opens the door, I think, for a lot of other things. Like you can do research, you can do therapy, you can even still do the performance stuff. Versus the Research Masters and the Performance Psych programs, you kind of get pigeonholed in those two things. Maybe I'm biased also as a PsyD, you know what I mean? But I think, in my humble opinion, it allows you to do more. Because, you can do with a clinical degree, you can do everything, pretty much. You can teach, you can do research, you can work with people, but these other degrees, you might not be able to do that. Unless it was like a PhD. PhDs can do whatever they want to. Right? But again, good luck, man. I'm excited for you. All right. All right, so we're going to take it away, and we're going to go with tilt responses. All right, tilt responses. When players were asked... Does this look good still yet? No, it's fine, right? It's good. Clin Psych definitely prefer. Performance Psych program was a safety school. Nice. That I could still perform research at with the faculty to prep for doctoral degrees. Definitely in the same mindset you are there. Yeah, dude. I didn't really understand how fortunate I was to pick PsyD, and then that I could go branch out into other stuff, but I'm so glad that I did, honestly. And you know what? Honestly, on another note, I also got back into clinical therapy. So I'm seeing clients, I'm doing diagnostics, I'm doing the actual therapy of people versus esport athletes. And you know what has made me realize? I am a therapist. I am my core. I'm a therapist. The way I engage with people, the way I conceptualize, the interventions that I use, I'm a therapist, and it's been really refreshing getting back into therapy, because truth be told, sometimes gamers don't really want help, or they want not help. But going back to clinical work, it's really nice to work with people who actually want to get better or want work. So it's real fun. All right. Tilt responses. When players were asked how they responded after tilt was triggered, their most common modal answer was to exit the game. Well, honestly, that's really impressive because, again, the study that this study was done using 94 or 97 high schoolers. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. If they can just stop, because, I mean, who has the self-control, chat, to stop when they're tilted? I don't, until, I'm in the 8th layer of Elo hell and I just want to break things. Then I'll stop. But that's awesome. If they have the self-regulation as exit the game, amazing. Example responses in this category included stop playing and take a break. Mwah! Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss, baby. Exit does not necessarily mean immediately quitting mid-game. Could you imagine? I'm tilted. FF. Oh, I mean, at the same time. That is a very valid response because lots of people do that, you know what I mean? Not me, but some people. That's actually, I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of one of my pet peeves. Or like one of the things that really tilts me in game is like when I see people leave the game mid-game. I understand if you DC, but if like you just exit because you're like over it and you literally say bye and you like bounce, especially if you like you die or something, you bounce. Ugh. Ugh. All right. But stopping playing after the match has ended and doing something else. Exiting the game is a productive and appropriate strategy. I'm gonna highlight this. Exiting the game is a productive and appropriate strategy. Frequently recommended is a popular online media as a way to stop tilt, since it resets emotions so players do not take their agitation from one game and act recklessly in the next. Yeah. You know what? Also, if you wanted to take this thing, right, exiting a game, and this piece right here, ooh, crayon, or as some people would say, crayon. That may be correct, but I hear that from you. I may not like it. Just like lychee, right? We say lychee in Hawaii, but it's supposed to be like, what's it? Not lychee, it's lychee. And I know lychee is correct, but if you say lychee, we're gonna fight. It's lychee, damn it. So another thing that I want to highlight, you know, this says exiting the game is a productive and appropriate strategy, so you don't act recklessly from this game to the next. I would also argue that you can also use this IRL in like really heated conversations, right? In a really heated conversation, I feel like there's two camps. The first camp is like, I want to finish the conversation. Stop walking away. Like, there you go again, walking away, never finishing a fight. And it's like, no, I'm going to walk away from this conversation because both of us is tilted, or both of us are tilted. And if we continue to have this conversation right now, we're both going to say things that we either regret, either we don't mean, and we're just going to hurt each other. Versus exiting the game, I'm going to walk away. I'm going to take a break from this conversation, and I'm going to let you know, hey, I'm getting a little upset. I'm getting a little tilted. I'm getting agitated, angry, whatever. And you know what? Give me 5 minutes and I'll come back. Or you know what? Even better, when I'm ready, I want to talk to you about this because this is important to me. So the reason why I suggest even this communication pattern of walking away from the conversation or putting a pin in it, or when you get too tilted IRL, being able to take a break and come back is because exactly this. You don't want to take the tilt that you're experiencing right now in this conversation or this relationship and do something, and per this article, act recklessly and then endanger that relationship even more than you need to. But that's my take. I know some people are like, I need to finish this. I want to say all these things. But here's my question, if that's you. How often when that happens, does it actually result in a fruitful conversation? Okay, I'm not gonna say it never does, because maybe it does. Maybe you need to have this fight, this argument to get down to the crux of what you want to say after you cry and get it all out, you know, and this is what I really meant to say. Fine. What percentage is that though? Is it like 50%, 90%? My guess is probably like 10 or less. So if you want to take this little suggestion of walking away with your tilt, also IRL, helpful hint. All right, where were we? Programs designated to detect and lessen tilt emphasize this strategy. The technology helps ameliorate tilt. It helps identify tilt. It helps identify when the player is agitated so they know when to exit the game and take a break. Okay, like I get it. Like AI is great. And you know, the interesting thing about this is like you're using AI to tell you when you're tired. To me, that's a bigger thing if you don't know when you're tired and you're tilted. You know, like that is a bigger red flag for me that you need AI to tell you your emotional state. So, hey, you know what? Maybe instead of using the AI, maybe the goal is to become more aware of when you're tilted, what you're tilted at, what your triggers, versus a computer popping up in your face and telling you that you're tilted. You know what I mean? Like, Awareness is key, my friends. Brown called exiting the preferred method of break-even poker players. When the player realizes they are tilted, they would take the loss and stop playing after that round, essentially cutting their losses and coming back to the table when they had a clear mind. When they had a clearer mindset. Absolutely. The second most common response to tilt was also, in fact, positive. Over-reliance on AI is becoming massive. Attorneys I work with even experience this, relying on non-reflective timers for breaks instead of identifying themselves. Yes. You know, another example of this would be when players ask, hey, how can I look at my mini-map more? I've been trying to set timers, and when the timer goes off, I'll look at the mini-map. And it's like, oh, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to set a timer that goes bing to remind you to look at that map. But if you really think about why you're not looking at the map, is because you're not thinking about the map until it's too late. So instead of setting the timer to go bing to remind you to look at the map, maybe we have to think about what you're using the mini-map for. And so once you figure out, oh, I want to be more conscious of the jungler, I'm thinking about the jungler. Okay, because I'm thinking about the jungler more and where they could, because I'm thinking about where the jungler is, because I'm thinking about the jungler more, I have to think about where the jungler is. If I'm thinking about where the jungler is, I'm more likely to look at the minimap. Think about driving. How often do you look at your mirrors? Hopefully often, right? But the reason why you're looking at the mirrors, or when you look at the mirrors, is because you're looking if cars are near you, or if I'm going to make a turn, is it safe? Is there space? Like, you're looking at the mirrors for a purpose, not just using a timer to look at the mirrors. So in the same way, the reason why we don't need a timer, or the reason why maybe you're using a timer, you're missing the point of what the purpose of the minimap is for. You know, just like the AI, we're missing the point of what it's doing versus just telling us we're tilted. We're missing the point of actually being aware of the emotions that we're having, thus we tilt. Or how we feel when we're tilted and how it affects us, you know what I mean? So absolutely, I think the over reliance on AI or technology is scary, because from a different perspective, AI isn't supposed to solve your problems, just like the computer is not supposed to solve your problems. Instead, the computer or AI is just a mere tool to help you solve your problems, or to make the problem solving process easier. It's not supposed to do the work for you. You know what I mean? So absolutely. Okay, positive. All right. So much so, 1/4, 25% of, thank you, 1/4, 25% of players in response to tilting applied a productive strategy other than simply exiting. For example, examples including calming myself down while focusing on the game, calming down and trying to smile. That's interesting. Trying to smile. But then at some points I can imagine these people going, so tilted, and then you kind of look a little scary. I'm so tilted, but it's okay. I'm just gonna keep smiling through the pain. Everything is great. 5 respondents not only self-regulated in responses to 5 respondents not only self-regulated in response to tilt triggers, but also attempted to learn from it, or in other words, in the words of one player, try to figure out what went wrong. I guess this is also the difference between using avoidant techniques and approach techniques, I believe. Calming myself down, right? These are very active skills. Breathing. I like the calming down and trying to smile. That's hilarious. I do like the trying to smile. I will try to do that in one of my games. Just smile. Huh? Yes, I'm not tilted. Everything's fine. Yay. But yes, I do think active... The only thing I think might be bad about these techniques, what's happening? These techniques is that if we over focus on the actual calming or the actual like self-regulation, of course, now we're splitting our attention between calming ourselves down and the actual game. So even though these are active and great techniques to reduce your tilt, they still might decrease your performance because you're focusing on calming down versus the game in front of you still. So perhaps this is something we can practice, and I'm sure as you get more efficient at noticing that you're tilted and using self-regulation techniques to bring you back down to baseline, this become more efficient. But remember, if you're focusing on calming down, trying to smile or whatever, you're now splitting your attention between doing that and the game. That's so funny. And you know what? You know what? Try use this on your friend too. When they're tilted, and just try to tell them to smile or calm down, see what happens. See how that affects their tilt. I mean, it might make your tilt less because you'll be laughing, but try it. All right. Yet nearly the same proportion of players surveyed, 22%, admitted to decidedly negative responses. I'm gonna say, I wonder if negative and they're using it as like my first thing was like schizophrenia. If they're using like negative and positive symptoms, negative symptoms is like you take things away. So basically, like if you have schizophrenia, a negative symptom would be like withdrawal, uninterest in things, versus a positive symptom, you're adding something, so you have hallucinations, you have delusions. Those are the positive symptoms, you know? Maybe negative is affect, so you're flat, right? Including actions such as scream. Never mind. These are value-based things. You're screaming and yelling, get mad, flame, and smash my desk, bro. You know what? The cool thing is though, in high school, I feel like you might have more control of your students if they do this. You know, it's a little more noticeable. Thus, tilt remains an area where additional progress can be made. Staff interview data corroborated this, indicating that in league, there would be instances where players would yell, 37% of staff, or blame other things. Makes sense to me. So positive, this is self-regulation. Negative is like, smash, yell, blame. The remaining 18% of players reported tilt had neither a positive or negative approach. Tilt had neither a positive or negative approach to tilt, but simply opted to do nothing. You know what? Fair. Do nothing. You know what? I'm just gonna let this tilt be. It's just here. Also, from last time, what we talked about was this do nothing part. They also alluded that if you do nothing and you just experience it, you may also have a tendency to be like low locus of control. These things just kind of happen. I can't do anything. It just shows up when it does, you know? We coded such non-responses as lump. Here's your catch-all, lump. A term drawn from the business literature to refer to employees willing to take lumps. Oh my god, that's so... All right, we took this. Basically, to take lumps is like to take it baitings and be okay with it. That's hilarious. I didn't know that was an actual business term. Well, you heard it first. I thought that was just like a colloquium we used to use in everyday vernacular, but I guess in business, you can just take lumps and that's part of the process. I guess depends on the business. Probably if you work for like Bezos. And simply accept bad things that happen to them, bruh. Example responses include talk less, play more games, and nothing. Lumping is neither good or bad in itself, although simply tolerating triggers does little to address the source of the outcome. Staff interviews offered more insight. Lumped behaviors are subdued responses, where the players fell quiet and stopped communicating. Interesting. Or get demoralized and express discouragement. got demoralized and expressed discouragement. Fell quiet. Oh, that's a great highlight. Good job. One GM called this a sneakier level of tilt. I feel where they haven't given up. They're not trying, but they're not trying their best either. And that's a little bit harder to coach and encourage. That's true. That's true. I mean, yeah. It's interesting how they lumped lump with like not ambivalence per se, where there's like, okay, well, it's whatever. I'm still going through the motions. The game's gonna take me. It's really hard to coach that because I think the thing that this GM is trying to describe is coaches can't make you want to do something differently. You know, like we can describe how it's going to benefit you or how what you're doing may not be helpful and give you options to do something else. But the player themselves has to choose that they want to do something differently. But it seems like people in this lumped category are just like, it's here. I don't know what to do. I feel bad. I don't really feel like doing anything. And I'm just going to let the game happen to me, you know? So I can understand why coaches would feel very frustrated with that. Finally, in interviews, staff 1, 3, and 5, and 6 also noted that the players demonstrated erratic behaviors when tilted. A player might be more verbal or stop communicating, and they would play differently, often more poorly. This out of character behavior was less about what the player was actually doing and more about the sudden shift in behavior or attitude. All right, I think this is going to be the interesting part, the malleability. So, wait, what's the pause? Okay, yeah. Okay, so this is leave. Stop playing. You know what? And here's the thing. There's the kicker. Look at these 3% liars, bro. I'm sorry. Everybody gets tilted. And if you don't get tilted, you don't like the game enough. You know, I think tilt is a natural response to the game because at the heart of tilt actually is care. If you don't tilt to a certain extent, that also means you don't really care because if you care enough, you get upset. But if you're not upset enough, then, you know, it's kind of like that Yerkes-Dawson stress model. It's kind of the same thing. So from my perspective, tilting is not necessarily bad. You know, because at the heart, like I said, at the heart of tilt, you care and it means something to you. You know, this is a lie. Everyone gets tilted. All right. Perceptions of malleability. Finally, participants were also asked if they thought they could change how easily they get tilted. Can you change it? Can you change it? Is your tilt in your control? Is your ability to come down from being tilted in your control? The modal answer, so the most common answer, was yes, 67%. And here's the thing. I wish that number was higher because you can totally manage your tilt. Tilt is a manageable thing. Indicating that indeed players see tilt as something malleable and therefore, by inference, able to be improved. Fair. I agree with that. Because I mean, if you weren't able to change your state of mind, then tilt would also just come randomly. You know, then what would you do if it comes randomly? So, yeah. Roughly 1/5, 21%, responded that they did not know whether tilt is changeable. That's fascinating. That is fascinating. I wonder too then, is it important to have tilt education so you can teach players how, or first of all, teach players what tilt is? Yo, thanks for coming on by, man. I got a dip, but thanks for the insights. Have a good stream. I'll be back later. Tuesday, Thursdays. See you, brother. So that's the thing I'm wondering about. Like, if that's true, I mean, yeah, if this is true, wouldn't it be productive to teach players what Tilt is and how we can fix it and how it affects you? So maybe Tilt education might be important for youth esport players or new esport players in general. Only 12 responded. Only 12% responded no. That Tilt has not changed and, by extension, could not be addressed. They have a fixed mindset towards Tilt. This belief is malleable versus fixed emotional volatility. Is perhaps in some way, the effective equivalent of the notion of fixed versus growth mindset. I mean, yes. I mean, from that perspective, you are having a fixed or growth mindset towards Tilt and what you're able to do. This is really interesting. Yes, no, I don't know. This I don't know is more interesting. I think this is an education diff, and I think this is an education diff too, or a belief diff. Right? We're talking about beliefs. The yes, no are beliefs. This one is we can change this. We can fix this. We can work on this. Let me skip down to the discussion. Let's do that. All right. These findings remain preliminary, but still contain implications for program development and intervention for youth. First, players are tilted most commonly by their own teammates. Yo. But at the same time, I think that is most important. Like, if this is true, even if at the high school level, if this is true, that tilt is most commonly experienced because of teammates, then wouldn't it be more important for coaches and psychologists and support staff to focus on the relationships between players to make sure that the players know each other well enough to make sure that they understand that that their teammates aren't trying to screw them on purpose. You know what I mean? And I think that's going to be really important to have more team discussions for the team to know each other, because if the team knows each other, if the team can see each other as people, if the relationships are good, then the underlying assumption that these people got my back is supported versus, oh, these people are trying to screw me. So even this is huge data. Whoopsies. Even this is huge data. Suggesting that interventions designed to target and promote team communication and collaboration skills may be one potent way to address and potentially ameliorate tilt triggers themselves. It's like I read it before I read it, bro. This is huge. Huge, 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 huge. Oops. Yes. So I think the other thing, though, is it's hard to apply this, I think, to solo queue, right? I think if you're playing on a team, which I assume these high schoolers are playing on a team, I think it's easier if you're playing on a team with people that are near you or you interact frequently with. But I think it's even harder if you're playing solo queue because, like, you don't actually know if your teammates have your best interest in mind, you know, versus I go to school with Jason. I see Jason every day. I know who Jason is, and I don't, now that I know Jason my friend, and he's trying his best. Versus Jason is trying his best to screw me in this game. You know what I mean? Such skills extend beyond competitive gaming. Yet competitive gaming offers a key area for their development. As one GM interviewed for this study recognized, collaboration is a huge part of communication. That's one big thing that we don't always get to address in the classroom, but a majority of the games that are out there for esports, it's a huge team effort to get that tournament win. Absolutely. Already, HCI Designers are working to improve virtual teammates' awareness and trust of each other as a way of facilitating communication. Yes. Again, if we don't have trust, we don't have safety. If we don't have safety, we have no team. So, at the heart of that, though, it seems like it's relationship and communication that are the cornerstones of that team building process. So then, the question then becomes, how can we make sure that I can build a team that can communicate, thus I have trust, thus I have safety. Second, players also heavily tilted by their own performances. Because at the same time, what we're talking about is expectations, right? I expect my team to do well. I expect myself to do well. At the same time, the reason why this was the lowest is because we expect our opponents to screw us or try to screw us. But I don't expect that from my team, and I don't expect that from myself. And again, others is ambiguous, so it's kind of hard to say. Second, players are also heavily tilted by their own performances. In fact, based on this data, it seems that players' harshest responses are reserved for themselves, while their best efforts at containing the frustration are reserved for other people. That's true, though. I mean, the reason I say that this is true is because how often do people say the most meanest, cruelest things to themselves, but as soon as they need to provide that feedback to other people, they're so much nicer. I totally agree with this. Players dedicate a lot of time and hard work into improving at the game. Their frustration and moral anger is unfortunately understandable if they feel like their efforts have not been rewarded. Fair. Given the current problem of stress and anxiety among high school teenagers in the US and reported pressure to excel, tilt in response to their own actions and performance may offer teachable moments through which GMs and coaches might remediate self-judgment, negative self-talk, and stress. You know, at the same time, here's the thing. I think we forget, though, that this is learned behavior. This self-judgment, negative self-talk, and stress, this is all learned. Like, as a baby, have you ever seen a baby when they try to walk or they do things? If babies actually had the level of self-judgment, negative self-talk, and stress that we put on ourselves now as adolescents or adults, bro, we would still be freaking rolling around and crawling on all fours. Babies would never be able to walk because, wow, I'm a dumb baby. I'll never be able to walk. This is so stupid. I must look so dumb dribbling on myself and not being able to like use utensils. Like, yes, I think that's really important that GMs and managers teach this or coaches teach this. At the same time, I think it's important to remember that GMs and coaches might actually have a direct influence on their players this. You know, that being said, sometimes players do themselves. You know, I think it's just important for coaches to be mindful that this is learned behaviors. And then coaches can ask where they learned this from, who they get this from, where's this voice coming from, all these kinds of things. Staff interviews illustrated how GMs or coaches might reframe players' approach to tilt and dealing with loss or frustration in game. I love this. Reframe players' approach to tilt, dealing with loss. Especially at this level, especially at the high school level, I think it's really important to frame losses in a certain way. I think it's really important to teach players how to learn the game, of course, perform. But at this level, it's so important to focus on development, especially in esports. Because here's the thing. Say they do go pro and they don't have these skills. They're not going to be pro for very long. They focus on preventing tilt from even occurring. Tilt's gonna... I don't think it's about this. focusing on preventing tilt from even occurring. And the reason I don't think the emphasis should be on tilt should never occur is because tilt is a natural thing that happens in game. I think what should be I think what would be more helpful in this moment is, or at this level, or I mean, what might be more helpful for coaches to teach their players is how to manage their tilt, just like they're going to manage their stress or help them manage their attention, versus tilt should never happen. Because if you set that expectation, if I should never tilt, tilting is bad, when they do inevitably do tilt, what's going to happen, or what does that mean? You know? So instead of focusing on the not tilting, I think it's more important to focus on the how to regulate the tilt. What happens when you do get tilted? I think that's much more important. Usually by reframing goals of the game as constantly improving instead of just winning. Yes, especially at this level. For strategies when tilt does arrive, players are encouraged to recenter their emotions. I like regaining. And shift their attitude towards what they can control. Absolutely. I do think focusing on what they can control or trying to put the locus of control back into you is super important. They discuss what better communication looks like despite setbacks, and emphasize the moment of tilt as an opportunity to learn from. These are great. Love these. Esports and education offers opportunities for addressing this self-approach. Efforts targeting wellness and self-care in these areas hold some promise in addressing toxicity online, but first addressing toxicity towards oneself. Woo! Love this. I'll read it one more time. Efforts targeting wellness and self-care in these areas hold some promise in addressing toxicity online by first addressing toxicity towards oneself. The reason I love this is because at the end of the day, bro, listen, we're all hurting people. So if I'm hurting myself or making myself feel bad, that is going to predispose me to think that people are also trying to hurt me, and then I might act defensively, and then the toxicity spreads. Versus if I can be kind and gentle and show myself some grace, when someone else messes up, I'm more likely to be kind and gentle and show that other person some grace too, thus decreasing the toxic spiral or the toxic leak, the toxic spill per se. I love this. I actually want to do this. This is beautiful. Mwah! Chef's kiss. All right. Regardless, negative responses to tilt. Getting toxic and smashing my desk. Slamming my fist on the table. Sometimes slamming my mouse. Getting angry and frustrated at the game. Myself. Ranting and getting mad. Critiquing my friends when I spectate. Blaming. Screaming. Yelling a lot and hitting things. Cussing people out. Blaming others. Are still almost as common as positive responses. So, there is much work left to do in changing interactions with others. In other words, in the words of one GM interviewed, this is another opportunity for esports and education. Yes. A lot of our kids haven't been coached in any kind of activity before, so they don't know how to be good losers because they've been brought up by the internet, and they tend to be toxic when they start losing or even when they're winning. And I think esports, especially esports clubs in high school and middle school, can really help teach gamers how to game correctly and game properly and be good citizens in the world, rather than just having them learn from the other toxic people on the internet. I think that's massive. That's massive. And the reason I'm saying that's massive is because when you look at streamers, or you look at internet personalities, the thing that gets lots of clicks and lots of views isn't always the most good. Like, it's fun to watch people tilt and rage and be toxic. It's hilarious and it's great entertainment. At the same time, I think people use that as, oh, that's okay, that's the norm, that's how I should respond or could respond too. And then they also begin modeling that behavior versus, oh shit, if I actually want to perform and be good at my game, I might actually need to learn how to regulate my emotions and be different and not toxic, you know? But then again, that's what everyone sees. That's the shtick, right? I mean, I think the other challenging thing is there's not very many people that actually teaches gamers how to do exactly this, how to win, and what's the proper way of having esportsmanship, or even how to lose and how to be kind to myself and learn through the process versus losing sucks, never feel this again. You know, I'll tell you a really embarrassing story. So when I was a kid, I was into wrestling. My sister was a wrestler, and so I got into wrestling. And I remember in Hawaii there was this tournament out in Kahuku, which is like far away from my house. And so, I remember, and the thing about Kahuku was, bro, those guys can play football and they can wrestle. They're strong, you know, like they're just strong people. And so I went all the way to Kahuku to do this tournament. And I always faced this one kid, and he only had two moves. He had a hip throw, and he had a head and arm when he hip throw you. That was it. Like, that was his move, like his signature move. I think his last name, I don't remember his last name, but I can see him right now. So what he would do is you get in your little wrestling position, and he would grab you, and then he would put you in a headlock, and he would like hip throw you. So he put basically one leg in front of you and then sweep you, and then take you down, like by throwing you, and then he would continue to hold your head near his arm, and then he would bridge backwards and he'd pin you. And what's really irritating is like, bro, you knew the move was coming. Like, the setup was the same every single time. Plus, we're in like 6th, 7th grade. So like, what's your repertoire of moves? You know what I mean? But the embarrassing part of the story was I remember that this kid did this to me like 3 tournaments in a row. Or like every time I saw him, this is what he'd do. He did the same thing to me in Kahuku, and I don't know if he pinned me. I don't remember if it was a pin or if he just won on points, but I remember being so fucking salty. I didn't want to shake his hand. Like, I just slapped his hand. Like at the end of at the beginning of every wrestling match, you like get in your little positions and you shake hands, right? At the end, you line up again, you shake hands, and then they raise the winner, like the hands of the winner. And so I remember I just like slapped his hand, like I just gave him like a high, like a low 5, where I was super salty. And they raised his hand, and I walked off. I didn't even want to shake his coach's hand. And, you know, typically what you do is you get off the mat and you shake the other person's hand. And I remember my coach being so upset with me. And what's even funnier was it wasn't my coach, bro. It was my mom. I remember my mom coming down and basically telling me, like, if you can't be a good sport, we're never coming back here. And also, I think we were in a Kahuku and we didn't want to get beat up. Because, you know, we're from a private school, and this was like a public school, and there's like, the school that I went to was like, everyone hated on it because like, we won stuff, you know, like, and you want to be a bad representation of our school, you know what I mean? But I remember my mom in the middle of this gym yelling at me, so much so that I just remember looking at my coach like side-eyed, like, and he was just like, but my mom was going off telling me like how embarrassing that was, how like cringe being a bad sport was, how like if I can't be a good sport in losing and winning, then I could never do sports again, you know? And then I remember my coach taking me to side, me like, yeah, like talking to me afterwards, like playing good cop, basically telling me like, you know, what's kosher and what's not kosher. But, you know, from then on, I was a good sport, you know? And I think it's important to learn how to lose and how to lose gracefully. You know, I think that's so important. At the same time, I think it's really important to know how to win and learn how to win gracefully too. You know, because it sucks being a poor loser. At the same time, I think it's worse if you're a poor winner. So I'm not sure how esport athletes learn this, but I think it's an important lesson to learn. For me, it was traditional sports that really hammered in what sportsmanship was, and being brought up in the traditional sport, traditional youth sports like basketball, baseball, soccer, swimming, you know? But at the same time, when you think about kids nowadays, maybe they don't have that same experience of going to AYSO soccer or your mom yelling at you in the middle of a gym at Kahuku to like really set you straight, you know? So absolutely. I think if you're a coach in esports, it's important to teach your players this. Absolutely. Oh man, I still remember that embarrassing day. Fortunately, players do not believe that whether and how significant one tilts can be changed. Fortunately, players do believe that whether and how significant one tilts can be changed. That's true. That's a positive. Most players think that. Our evidence suggests that perceiving tilt as malleable has a positive effect on how players respond when tilted, leading them to choose more positive responses to tilt overall. Yes, I'm here to tell you too. Even though you may experience your emotions, you are totally able to regulate them. You are totally able to be mindful of them. You're totally able to mediate them. Maybe not control them, but I'd say manage for sure. Perceiving tilt as fixed, however, has the opposite effect, tempering down productive responses to tilt and amping up more negative and abusive strategies towards other players who perhaps triggered it. Yup. That's by Ed. Belief in malleable versus fixed emotional volatility is somewhat similar to the notion of fixed versus growth mindset. How you view tilt's changeability may predict how well you hold yourself accountable to your reactions online. Just as interventions designed to teach students about growth mindset helps with persistence in the face of a challenge, interventions by mentors and coaches to reframe players' perceptions of tilt could encourage more positive responses. It's learned. It's a learned behavior, right? That's one right here. Learned behavior. Tilt is an important construct to understand because it represents the esport version of self-management, a core social-emotional skill and necessary to dealing with everyday tasks and challenges in school and beyond. Yes! I mean, if you think about it, tilt is stress, tilt management, stress management, tilt's an emotion, emotional regulation. Same thing. It's all the same. That's why I love games, because all this stuff is so applicable to whatever you do. You just need to see how it relates. But it's not that hard to see. You just have to take the time to look at it, you know? Absolutely. I'm gonna star this, baby. Yes. Tilt. Oh, this is the one, right? All right. Analyzing the emotive factors of emotional experience from League of Legends. Hu and Gu, that's awesome. They should never not do studies together. Also identified achievement, teammate, game design, and social identity related situations which parallel our loss, team, game, and self-trigger codes, respectively. Their emotion regulation strategies were brought up by our coaches. For example, exiting if tilted, as an example of situation. Ooh, situation selection. I like that. Reframing game goals is cognitive change. Look at this. Use this later. Situation selective cognitive change and shifting attitudes in games is attentional development. Look at that. Look at that. And they say gaming causes violence. The emotional work essentially to The emotional work essentially to winning in-game is the emotion regulation and self-management demanded of social interactions beyond the game. Managing tilt resonates with players, and they may be motivated to address tilt given its negative impact on peers in play. With the right intervention, players have a unique opportunity to develop their ability to self-regulate their emotions and attention alongside their communication and language skills. Yes. Unlike most naturalistic contexts for video game play, esport provides a structured context in which emotional volatility and lack of self-control can be directly tied to player performance, measured in win and loss. I love this. Esports provides a structured context in which emotional volatility and lack of self-control can be directly tied to player performance, measured in a win and loss. So basically what they're saying is stronger mental wins. And at the end of the day, yes, the game is about performing using your fingers. At the same time, maybe it's more important to practice, to manage emotional volatility and self-control to get more wins. Moreover, as with traditional sports, esports contexts typically include coaches and other mentor roles, and that offer a natural opportunity for direct intervention by more experienced and mature adults. Yep. Man. I think this is super interesting. What I liked about this article was their link to this growth mindset and fixed mindset towards tilt and your emotional states. I think it's also important, though, it cannot be overemphasized that it's important that you be aware of your emotional states and understand what is causing your emotional states so you can be more active in engaging and mediating them versus, oh, no, they can't be moved. This emotional state just comes on. I don't know what to do. It just arrives. It's kind of random. Versus, yeah, I can change it. It comes and I'm able to manage it or mediate it, which is great. I'm glad that 67 or more than half of the people think this. The interesting thing, though, is this. I don't know. To me, this 21% kind of hints at that maybe we have to teach people about their emotions a little bit more and how to use them, what they are, how to become more aware of them. I think this is the most important part. I also think this is really interesting. You know, how they used or how they managed their tilt. I really do like the exiting. Bye, I quit after this one game. I think that's a very awesome technique. The positives, the self-regulation, the calming down, smiling through the pain. Love this. But also, what's interesting is that only 3 points away is the smashing, yelling, maybe more interestingly, the shutting down. A little less, but interesting. And this no tilt, liars. Liars. All right. And then don't forget, though, I think at the heart of tilt is your expectations, right? So the inside out. How would I write this? I think tilt. So the path of tilt. Maybe the path of tilt is expectations. This determines the direction. Did I spell that right? Let's try again. This would, I think this expectations dictate the direction and intensity of the tilt. And then after this, it is your response. And then, ooh, I guess also from a different perspective, this also dictates the malleability. Yes. Okay. Then I think it goes like that. Yep. Yep. Okay. Then it goes to this, the response. So I think it goes from these beliefs, the expectation. Oh, wait, okay, beliefs. BELI. Beliefs? I think this is the flow of Tilt. I think first you have the beliefs, which set your expectations, right? Which, I mean, your expectations are your shoulds. So, for example, I believe that my team should, be helpful. I think my team should want to win. I think my team should support me in the way I want to play. That sets my expectations, the shoulds. And then that when this is broken, this will dictate the direction, who I'm upset with, the intensity of how upset I am with them, and then the beliefs also dictate the malleability of how much control or influence I have over my emotional states. That then dictates my response. What do I do? Do I shut down? Do I leave? Do I try to regulate? Do I smash something? Do I just get punched and cry? And, I think that's the flow from this article of how I would conceptualize Tilt and how it works. I mean, from here, I guess the questions I'd have from this article are, how well do you know your Tilt process? What is it like for you to tilt? Do you know your triggers? Is this true for you? What techniques have you found to help your tilt? And then lastly is, how malleable do you believe your tilt is? I think these are really good questions to ask yourself. And as always, the purpose of the stream is to increase your awareness and curiosity to you, your experience, and your feelings, I think. No judgment. These are just moments of awareness for you to think about, for sure. And not bad. I finished this article in 2 days. Hell yeah. I think also I skipped some sections that bored me. I mean, maybe I could have read through that, but you know what? No one sticks around for that. They just want to know the data and the interpretation. But yeah, thank you for coming to the stream. I got to get ready for a session with a client. So let me know what you think. If you want to work with me, also, please visit my website, psychsensei.com. There, you can fill out a free consultation form, and you and I can sit down and maybe figure out your beliefs about Tilt. Maybe figure out how to regulate your emotions. Maybe it's psychoeducation of Tilt and how to get better at it. Or maybe it's something else about your game. But please reach out to me on psychsensei.com. And while you're there, you might as well follow all the socials. You can follow me on Instagram, YouTube, Discord. Discord's open too. TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook. I believe all my social handles are Psych Sensei, except Twitter, which is the Psych Sensei. But hey, you know what? We did it. We streamed Tuesday, Thursday. That was the goal. I'm happy to be back. It was a good time. Thank you, Reptiv, for coming back in for the great conversation. Good luck in school, my friend. I'm always cheering you on. Please let me know how I can support you. And you, please have a good night. Please be safe. Please be warm. Hug your loved ones. Win your games. And I'll see you next week, Tuesday, at the very latest. If not, I might have a surprise stream playing games or something. But if I don't, I'll see you Tuesday. All right, friends. Take it easy. Love ya. Mwah!